The game social released the new fact about Age of Sigmar 4th edition Scaventide the 30 July 2025. Technically, these are not the only new facts about this month, because the 18 July 2025 has been listed the ones about the Idonate Deepkin, because has been listed this month also the Battletome of the Idonate Deepkin themselves, and those facts that were separated now are included in the rules and the battle profiles, so it's easier to find them. And we can see now outside the ones related about the Carrot Overload and the Blades of Corn, because both of them received their own Battletome this month. So now we can find them separately, and the next month we'll find them in the rules and battle profiles too. And there's been also to see that there's been released also the update about a lot of Scourge of Ghyran, the Army of Renown, and so on. So here we can see that a lot of little details has been updated, but all of this we can find in the rules. So now we go to see about such changes, and not go to see about the battle profiles, because simply it's a little about the Idol Deepkin. So if you're interested, you go to see there are some little change, but nothing completely major. But still, it's something that if you're interested, I suggest you to verify. So remember that now we go to see about the rules, and about the rules I'll bring up only about the changes, not about the previous ones. If you're interested about the previous ones, about the facts, I invite you to see in the description, there is the link about the previous, so that each time I bring up only the new ones, so that I focus only about the news. So let's go. So let's start to see about the changes, and we can start with one quite important thing, that it's related about returning and added models. So here it remains the base, it's the same, but if that unit has 7 or more models, including the model being set up, it must be set up within currency range of at least 2 other models in that unit that were not returned or added this phase. This is quite important. Remember that it starts from 7 or more models, including the one that you are going to set up. So you have only one model, 2 or 3, it's not a problem. It's only when you start with 5 or more, starting with that you gain, or 7 if you gain at 1. So it's you have to pay attention about such things, because there is such coins that could be a bit problematic maybe sometimes, but you have to be a bit more attentive when you go to add to replenish a unit. So not a problem, but something to be careful about. Then we can find some new fact about the dice. So it's about if an ability allow me to reroll one dice from a XD6, for example, the Blades of the Looking Aurelius ability, could I then use a different ability to reroll the entire XD6 roll? And say no, because you are using an ability to make one, you can't make again rerolling. So it's against the re-rolling. So it's quite understandable thing, but it's better to avoid any misunderstanding. There has been quite sparse as updated, so we can find that for the most part are the same. We had a change about the healing, so if an ability, for example the Seeds of Rebirth, would allow a unit that will be destroyed to negate all remaining damage points, then heal to prevent that unit from being destroyed, and another ability, for example the Quenching of the Flame, prevents that unit from healing, will that unit still be destroyed? And say yes. Here it's important because it allows you to understand the precedence of certain rules, so it's something that you have to take in mind, because healing is common for all the units. Remember that you have also eventually the option about using the command points to do so. You have to pay a bit of attention about such things, because can be change your approach or eventually use more. Then there is an update about the faction terrain. So if these are added, so if a terrain feature has any melee or ranged weapon, you can use the fight or shoot core ability as if it were a unit. I think that is understandable, so okay. Then terrain features that has move characteristic of 0 cannot move. Okay, understandable. Not that Paline moves are a type of move. Faction terrains feature with a move characteristic greater than 0, null, are treated as if there were units in all phases for the purpose of the movement, combat range, being in combat, as setting up terrain features, other manifestation, and other units. So this it's quite important to understand how to work with the terrain feature that can move. So it's quite important in my opinion, so pay attention. Then we can go about the advanced rules, and here, as you can see, it's changed quite few. So again, about the faction terrains. So can faction terrains or manifestation be picked as the target for power through? Yes, if it has a move characteristic greater than null. So if it's treated as a unit. So it's not a unit, but treated as one again. So this we can understand that the factions, terrains, and so on has changed a bit how they can work. So little things, but quite intriguing in my opinion as changes. Then have that Path to Glory Ascension has not seen any change. About the glossary, we have a little change about here, the fact that change the first sentence of the entry for the modified characteristic to characteristic cannot be modified to less than 1, with the exception of rand that which can be modified to 0. Okay, maybe it's strange that it's been updated now, but okay, understandable. It's nothing changing, simply a correction about a mistake. Then we can see something about the Spearhead Phalangeid, and it's about the terrain again. So when a unit is targeted by an attack, if it is possible to draw a straight line from the closest point on the attacking model base to the closest point on a model in the target unit's base without that line passing over a terrain feature, the target unit is considered to be behind a terrain feature for that attack. Simply explaining, okay, simply something that maybe could be misunderstood, so it's good that it's being put to be said. Then we have about the Spearhead, Saint, and Bone. So here we have some data. I'll bypass them because, okay. Anyway, you can see the talent that it's the same that we've seen before. So, okay, it should be an expansion, so should be applied before, but okay, it's simply something that you have to consider if you play with them. Then we have about the General Handbook 24-25. This part about the rat is exactly the same that we had previously, so the same one. But there are some facts about the General Handbook 25-26. So there is about the terrain faction terrain. So are the following the bullet list. So faction terrain feature with a move characteristic greater than null are treated as if there were units in all phases for the purpose of movement to combat range, being in combat and setting up terrain feature or other manifestation or other units, as we've seen before. So simply was missing this part, as we've seen missing in the core rules. So they added to both. It's the same one, simply added. Then we can find some errata about here the commands. So add the following to the clear step of for the covering fire. You cannot pick manifestation of faction terrain features as the target of this ability. This is quite interesting. So then we have about the terrain that wholly on here the terrain and behind the terrain changes the second paragraph. So when a unit is targeted by an attack, if it's impossible to draw the straight line, as we've seen for the part about the spearhead, it's the same here. So it's about the line of sight. Okay. Then have the part of removing the within shooting within the terrain. Okay. In the rapid sprouting effect, the activate place replace the visible terrain feature with visible non-faction terrain features. Here it's understandable. It's simply understandable better that it's a little about the faction terrain about. Here again we can see that we can remove the part about the faction terrain, so remove the following sentence. While a faction terrain feature is garrison, it is a unit. Okay, it's simply about change a bit better. Then we have the part about the garrison terrain feature. Units cannot move while there are garrisons on a terrain feature. I think that okay, it's understandable because they are there, so they had to keep there. Then about the power level, that it's something that we've seen before. So about the power level, each wizard and priest has a power level shown after the keyword wizard 2. A wizard casting level determines how many spells abilities they can use per phase, and the priest chanting power level determines how many players ability can be used per phase. So it's simple. Okay, I think that it was understood before. Maybe they made more clear. It's not something that can be really quite exceptional about this. Then we have some other things, for example, about the enhancement. So here we can see that there is an update about the announcement that cannot be given to regiment or no units unless they have a keyword that matched that faction's name. So it's interesting in some way, because usually the regiment or non cannot be included in armies that have the same keyword, so it's almost impossible, but there could be some exceptions, so okay. Then we have about the manifestation lore Twilight Sorcery. So a Geminid of Ghoulish Endless spell has 2 parts and that must be set up within an inch of each other. This, I think that it's interesting, and we see that it's also something that is called in all other spells that are similar ones. And okay, it's simply to give you a really understandable size of how much distance they can be. Then we have Shards of Balagar. So if the effect of the Phantasmal Translocation replace not in combat with more than 3 inches from all enemy units, I think that it's better in this way, because it gives you a minimum way so that you can be more certain about. Then how about the Battletome Life Roots? So here replace for each terrain feature they control with for each non-faction terrain feature they control. Here it's important because before it was easier to control if the opponent had a faction terrain. Instead here it forbid that part, so you have to pay more attention. So okay. About the linked Kilian battle plan, you change the part simply that it's a little better. So a linked ley line is formed from the middle of one edge of the battlefield to the middle of the opposite edge. Okay, it's simply a better understandable. Also for the battle plan of the path of the key. So here we change in that all units excluding the faction terrain and manifestations within 6 inches of any target object must be removed from the battlefield by their commander. Okay. Then battle tactics. So in the strike and the domination battle tactics, simply control every object. We control every object that can be controlled. Here it's better because it's quite intriguing. It's a bit better definition in my opinion. Then how about the battle cards? Okay, so here add the following on the top of the battle card. So if an ability would remove a unit that was carrying treasure from the battlefield and that unit is not set up again as part of the same ability, for example Dark Apotheosis or Red Ruin, before removing that unit from the battlefield, your opponent must give the tools it was carrying to another one of the units that does not have a Ghyran treasure within 3 inches of the unit. If it is not possible, that unit count as having been destroyed for the purpose of these battle tactic cards. Here it's quite intriguing because it means that if you go, for example, move a unit back in the reserve and not coming back in that same turn, it means that this has lost and you give the opponent a point. So not bad at all. It means that you have to pay more attention about what you're going to do. About the battle tactic cards Scouting Force, you replace the part. It's almost the same, but it's at the start of the battle every friendly non-hero infantry and not hero cavalry unit. Here it's the different. That is on the battlefield become a scared unit. Instead, before it was wholly within the friendly territory. So it's much better this. Battle tactic cards attuned to Ghyran. So here change the strike battle tactics through to you complete this battle tactic at the end of your turn if all of the following are true. At least 2 friendly units moved as part of the retreat ability this turn. Those units are lure units, and at least 2 other friendly units charge this turn, and at least one of those units ended the charge move in combat with an enemy from which any lure units retreated. So okay, understandable. It's in some way better defined. Then about the glossary 25-26, there is a problem about the glossary. Okay, so you have to remove starting with the active player. Okay, simply one. Then change the first sentence of the entry of for modified characteristic, and it's the same that we've seen for the previous one. So it's simply a rephrasing of something that they never found. So okay. And then there are some facts written about the Journal Handbook 25-26. So here we can find that there is about the battle tactic overview. So if I met the condition of the complete battle tactic, can I choose not to complete that tactics at the end of my turn? No. And I understand it's understandable that he forbid because you made the points, so you can't gain some, I can say, bonuses, for example, not being the underdogs or so on. So no, if the conditions are fulfilled and you have not already scored a battle tactic from that card this turn, you must score that battle tactic. Perfect. So the attacking, shooting, and combat commands. So if a unit use all out attack if in the shooting phase and then the combat phase, do extra touch 2 from Severus for that unit? No. Persisting effect count as the effect of passive abilities for the duration. So unit cannot be affected by the same persisting effect more than once. Okay, perfect. In some way it's even better like this. So, universe turn abilities. While every mod in a friendly non-monster unit is within 1 inch of an excluding terrain feature, are they visible to friendly units? Yes, there are, just not visible to enemy units outside of their combat range. So, okay, understandable. About faction terrains, if a hero is garrisoning a faction terrain feature, can he still be picked as a target of abilities other than attacks? Yes. Okay. Then about the battle plan creeping corruption. So how does damage inflicted by the pulsing life energies interact with the Shadow Queen Ironheart of Kain abilities? Since the damage is inflicted in the start of the battle round timing window before either player has started, Ironheart of Kain would have no effect on those damage points. In addition, the damage point will not count toward the limit of damage allocation for the Ironheart of Kain in the next room. This is really quite amazing. Okay, not bad at all. Then, can I use Scourge or Ghyran enhancement, lures, and battle formation in an army of renown? No. Perfect and understandable. So I completely agree with this because they are okay. So not bad. Remember that in a way you can use units alternative, but still not bad these things. Then we can see about the faction packs. Here we can see something new, for example, for the part about the Age of Sigmar with the Wild Corps, the Assassin. So you have to see if there is really something that you are interested about, because it's really about your armies. So for example, we have seen about here Cinch, that is about the demonic simulacrum. So here you have to go to see, we can see for example that they deleted the part about the identity picking because they have made a renewed about the Battletome. So this one was useless and there is now in the part about the identity picking the SAS. So okay, and we can see also something here about the part of the Luminate Lords that we see has received also an update about the faction pack and so on. So as you can see, it's everything here. So okay, and it's understandable. There is also about the Nexus of Griffers. So here I changed the effect. So remove the terrain feature from the battlefield and set it up again on the battlefield within 3 inch of a friendly night-out unit, more than 3 inch from all objectives and enemy units, more than 1 inch from all terrain feature, and more than 12 inch from all other friendly Nexus of Griffer. Also this one is being updated as PDF, so you can download for free separately. Then again, we can move and we can see that the most part of them has not received any updates, so it's quite intriguing. We can see something about, again, the it's always a problem about the overgrowth of wilderness and so on about the Sivanet, okay. Then, okay, we can see about the facts, and we can find something that it's related about them. It's hard to go to see about if you're interested or not here about the other digitals. So step by step, we can see that they change a bit. Here it's interesting about the Shions of Lunamia. So add a Vampire Lord or Night Master to the roster option. It's not bad because it's something new, and because it's really about the vampires and the werewolves and the Felbats. It's something that is always welcome to have other choices about creating your roster. So okay, nice. Then we have about the Scourge of Ghyran. Sincerely, I'd skip about this part because there are really some little changes, some little updates about these things, and it's really about if you play with them. So remember that you have to see because they can be really quite interesting about all of them. So quite nice because there's been little change for a lot of things. Some of them are quite simple because, for example, the Seraphon with the monster trait in the effect of the Titan of the Land replace the realm shape engines with the friendly realm shapes engines. So sometimes of these are really simple wording correction. Okay. And then we can find about the facts for the Scourge of Ghyran. Also here they explain much better about these ones. Again, I suggest you before to read about the Scourge of Ghyran, because they can change something and you can understand maybe better about these ones. But I suggest, because sometimes are really quite intriguing about these ones. Then you can see about the Battletome of the Gloomspike Gits, that has seen a little change about the effect of the sneaky Gits, that technically it's the same, because from it's not visible to enemy units that are not in combat with it. It's not within this unit combat range. So it's about how the phrasing about this. So okay, understandable. Then there is a new focus here that you have to see if you're interested about. About the identity, remember that has been the new fact about. So here there is simply one. And there is only one, quite intriguing, they made it better. There is about the Orc Vulcans, again, something about them, and they are really quite strange, okay. But about the Envious Apotheosis, it's understandable that correct something eventually, so okay, understandable. Then about the Battletome itself, no facts related. Then about the Skaven Battletome, that is a new fact about the new hull, if you're interested about. The Slate to Darkness, okay, about the Namurud, and the Path to Glory part. No fact new. Here about the Battletome Soulblight Gravelords, here we have quite a lot of changes. So we have about Principal Rise, so change the declare step of Trail of Crimson. This unit can make a Paladin move, and here it's important because it's specified, even if it is not in combat. Before it was not written, so okay. Then if this unit is in combat, pick an enemy unit in combat with it to be the target. So here it's quite intriguing because it allows you to move anyway, so not bad. Then there is quite important change about the Baronite core, make that they change the time of the course to rise once more to once per turn, but army. So it means that you can only for one unit in your army each time. So from having more units of the Baronite, maybe you want to have a bigger unit with more models, but only one or maybe two, but not make too many of them, because otherwise you risk to not be able to appreciate such effect. Sincerely, a reduction about this ability, but okay. About the manifestation of the grave, add the following of the effect of the summon Sanguineous Worm. So a Sanguineous Worm Endless spell has two parts that must be set up within 9 inches of each other. It's the same that we have seen for the Geminis before, so it's simply about it. About the Envious of Apotheosis, we can see that add the word 6+ keyword to the starting Soulblight Gravelord hero or scroll. It's understandable, okay, it was missing. Then about the Army of Renown, the Knights of the Crimson Keep, change the effect of from a quarter unseen to set up each target wholly within 9 inches of the battlefield edge and more than 9 inches from all enemy units. If you set up any unit using this ability in the third or subsequent battle round, do not spend any command point when using the Carve of Bloody Path command this turn. So, not bad. Okay, nice. Then we have about the Stormcast Thanos that has seen a change about the Knight Zero that see pick D3 to pick up D3. Okay, it's simply wording. Okay, it's nothing to be quite crazy about. And another part about the change the time of the cover Lord to passive. Okay, understandable. So as you can see, then we have about the Ravaged Coast that see a little change about the parts. And they're really something that if you're interested about this, the Path to Glory, I'm not interested, so I'm skipping, but it's important. So, from deynonmod, it's everything. I invite you to subscribe to the channel, to ring the bell so to receive notification about new video, to comment under here about this video, or if you want to suggest me new videos. So, I hope to see you again to the next time.